NIMA is what we refer to it as the National Institute for Materials Advancement. Basically, we have been operating for over 25 years as the Kansas Polymer Research Center, KPRC. This is really a rebranding that we've just undergone with the National Institute for Materials Advancement, mostly to give it more of the national flavor rather than we're the state of Kansas operation. Other than that, we are sticking with our core competencies in here, which basically we started out in a bio-based materials, mostly biopolymers working. We're in the middle of an agricultural in the Midwest. So it's a logical fit for us to be working in the biomaterials arena. Since most of the biomaterials we have worked historically on, now this is changing some going forward, but historically we've worked mostly with vegetable oils, which is a natural progression to make polyols that takes us to polyurethanes. And if you look at the polyurethanes industry, probably over 60% of the volume of the polyurethanes industry is in foams. So whether there's closed cell, open cell, rigid, flexible, memory foams, polyurethanes are a huge portion of that. So again, a logical progression to foam. So those first three just sort of tended to fall in order as they fit together. About 10 years ago, we added to the team a young researcher who was specializing in electroactive materials. Now, this gave us a great third dimension to put with things, bringing this in here, adding, and there's a great overlap between the polymer materials aspect of this and the electroactive material. So lots of work been going on now in semiconductors, batteries, supercapacitors, hydrogen generation. So these are the kind of things that fall into the electroactive. And then more recently, with all of the press out there around the whole, the evils of plastic and focusing on the plastic circular economy, we've put in an emphasis in the areas of mechanical and chemical recycling. And chemical in this sense, also, we're talking about digestion. So if we're looking at enzymatic approaches to that. So you'll find a common theme through most of our stuff around research on sustainability, whether we're looking at, as it's noted here, natural dyes that can be used in these things, hydrogen generation from electrolysis, the green batteries and green materials that we're looking at. So ultimately what it boils down to, NIMA is being developed as a center for developing industrially relevant materials. We are a research institution. We do not have a PhD program here at Pitt State yet. So let me qualify it in that sense. But we are collaborating with other universities to move some of our students through PhD programs. But our work is applied research. So that's the industrially relevant component of this. We consider ourselves a training ground for the next generation of scientists and researchers. We are also a lighthouse for recruiting students and researchers into the STEM arena. And then ultimately, we want to be an industry resource, or we are an industry resource for both advanced technologies and testing analysis capabilities. So that's what this overlap here is indicated with our graph here. Our areas of focus, and I sort of touched on this already, is the bio-based materials, recycling, polyurethanes. Basically, my intention is we're not going to be exclusive to polyurethanes, but 5 years from now, I don't care where you are in the world, if you talk about polyurethanes in any form, I want you to immediately think of NIMA as a part. And similar to that, electroactive materials is now becoming a major focus for us. We also focus heavily on this educational outreach, because you'll hear me use the terms workforce development over and over. So if we are going to truly reshore a lot of technologies, if we're going to build the companies that we're wanting to out there, we've got to have the skilled workforce for that. That's a component. And then, as I already mentioned, we have set our analytical testing services up as a separate P&L in here for providing testing. So there's a number of things. This is just talking about, and definitely this slide is a little dated in that I said about 15 million. This number right now somewhere, we're really targeting something north of $50 million in this to both. We're going to expand our educational facilities for polymer chemistry and engineering, plastics engineering, our materials science. We're adding a new prove-out facility, and that funding has mostly been identified there. And then we've got to have some enhanced analytical testing space here in, and you'll hear me refer to the Tyler Research Center. That's just a physical building that NIMA is located in. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but this is the way we started out with $330,000 looking at a research park here, funding that we used. We took the learnings from that to start building our programs and demand for our efforts. We picked up another $300,000 to remodel our plastics engineering technology testing laboratories and upgrade that program. By the way, that plastics program is one of the oldest in the nation. That was started in 1969. So we are really ramping up over in that area. That was followed with the NIMA was established in 2020 with $1.6 million from the EDA and a matching $400,000. So we had a couple $1 million there just to put new equipment in. We picked up another $2.4 million from this to add scientists and some additional equipment. Right now we're looking at building a prove-out facility right next to us here. As I said, that funding has mostly been identified at this point. We've been co-awardee on some other grants here picking up, and then most recently we announced $3 million for the center commercialization coming in here. I'm going the wrong way. I'm not going to go through these, but just giving examples of this. All of this testing equipment has been updated throughout the facility. So we've got everything from the analytical capabilities of polymers to the physical testing capabilities of the plastic materials as they're being produced. So all of these capabilities are now in-house and operational. Just an example is the atomic force microscope. We've got a new FESEM that gives us resolution down to 1 to 2 nanometers as well. So lots of awesome capabilities. So this program, as I mentioned, the plastics program started in '69. Dr. Petrovich founded what we at that time called the Kansas Polymer Research Center in '94. We've seen lots of success. The Tyler Research Center we're sitting in now, state-of-the-art facility, was built in 2007. The important thing, as I said, we're working on workforce development. So we're not focusing just on cranking out PhDs, although we do promote that. We're focusing everything from the associates, the bachelor's and master's degree programs. So these are the people that we need in the workforce out there to make these things happen. So with the additional funding we've brought in, we're now, we've added our first tenant. So that's actually a full-time tenant, company called Checker Spot. Was a startup company about 5 years ago when they came in, brought in a jar of oil. Today they're over $100 million of capital and over 60 employees with locations in Alameda, California, Salt Lake City, Flint, Michigan, and now here in Pittsburg, Kansas. Center for Commercialization has recently been funded. We now have most of the funding secured for the prove-out facility, and we have a proposal, as I'll talk about a little bit later in here, for our new National Center for Semiconductor Research and Testing. We call it INSERT. Encountering Innovations, as Alan has already indicated, has now been adopted as a part of the NIMA program in here, and we have exciting ideas of what we're going to do to enhance that program and expand it. We're going to continue much of what Alan and his team have been doing in the past with this, with our DoD connections and so forth with the Tech Scouts, but you'll see us use the term Agripalooza down here. We're actually looking at expanding that into the farming arena. And as you'll see over here, we already have a very tight farms connection. So if we can tie these two concepts together independently, still maintaining the DoD typical Encountering Innovations, but the Agripalooza, and hopefully we'll come up with a little better name than that, that we will tie with the farms. It'll be separate operations. But Farms 2023 We've been doing this. We've been partnered with Arizona State and Virginia Tech, KU, and K-State Extension agents working with us for what we call Farmers Accelerating Research in Materials Science. That's our farms. Basically, we bring the farmers in with scientists from across the nation in here. They meet and we talk about the problems in agriculture, whether it's farming, ranching, whatever the agricultural produce is, what are their problems? And then after the farmers go away, the next day, just the scientists get together and assess then, okay, what did we hear and what parts of these may we be able to address with material science? An example that I just mentioned was Checker Spot. This is the company that now is a new tenant here in the Tyler Research Center. Quite often when people think that we're working on bio-based materials, they're thinking if you're compromising properties and performance. I think this is a classic example where that's just not the case. This technology, this core technology is called an algal core. We're basically using algal oils to produce a polyurethane foam that lightweights and strengthens. Got great camber, great stability on these skis. These are not skis you run down the gently groomed slopes. These are the types that you'll see the pros going down the backside of mountains on. So this is as demanding as you can get performance. The next thing I want to talk about is vision. One of the things I'm driving for is what I call the Materials Alliance Zone of Kansas. And as I've said multiple times, I'm not ashamed at all to just steal ideas. This came straight from West Virginia. If you go to their website, they refer to it as the Polymer Alliance Zone. I didn't even bother changing the name very much. This worked great. In 1996, the coal mining country of the southwestern part of West Virginia basically was highly impoverished, much like the area right here in Pittsburg, Kansas. Once you pull the mining out of this area, you're left with an agricultural community. Today, if you go to the Polymer Alliance Zone's website, they claim to have one of the highest concentrations of high technology, special and engineered polymers production in the United States. That's my kind of goal. That's what I'm after, is to reproduce that in the Southeast Kansas region and basically just copy what they've done and bring this manufacturing base, leveraging our core competencies that we already have. So as I said, we've got polymer science, we've got polymer chemistry, we got masters of science, we've got plastics engineering technology. This is the geographic focus area. Pittsburg, Kansas is right here in the epicenter of this, but this is the regional area that we're intending to impact. And part of this is all about building these partnerships, and this list continues to grow every day as we're working on this. As we build MASK, that Material Alliance Zone of Southeast Kansas, as we demonstrate the success of that, my intention is to move straight across the state line into Missouri and do the same thing there. Once you've got those two, it's just a drop in the bucket to say, hey, this obviously fits well in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and then this becomes what I call the Mid-American Materials Alliance, or MAMA, on there. So this is the ultimate goal of what we're focusing on. More immediately, as I was saying, this is our Tyler Research Center located here. We've got about 9 acres of land that has been designated by the city of Pittsburgh for a research park for us to do as we will. Most recently, we announced $3 million grant to start our commercialization center. As I had indicated, we have identified the funding for the prove-out facility we're going to build next to it. This is intended to be a facility, a pilot scale facility. So as startup companies want to come in, and if they want injection molding, we lease an injection molding unit. We set it up and we use students to train on this, operate this, to generate market scale quantities of material to go out and trial the market. Or if I've got an existing company that simply doesn't want to break into their manufacturing line to trial something, and they've got an extrusion operation, then we bring in an extruder, or we bring in a pyrolysis system, or whatever that we need into this. So this will be a transitional facility, always changing what's coming in and out of it, but to facilitate new technologies moving into the marketplace. Now, as I alluded to very early in here, Dr. Ram Gupta joined us about 10 years ago and brought a new skill set in here. If you've been watching the news, and everybody has that's on this, I'm sure, everybody's aware of the CHIPS Act, or the Chips and Science Act for America here. And the focus now on semiconductors is very strong. And you'll see semiconductors aren't just around making chips. They're in almost everything we do day to day. So this is a huge operation, and everybody knows there's tons of money in this area, and this is important to national security. As serendipity has it, this is also a key area that Dr. Gupta focused in. Most recently, Ram Gupta was identified by Stanford University as one of the top 2% of research scientists in the world. This is, you go back to his dissertation, semiconductors is his life. That's what he does. Matter of fact, we even celebrated Dr. Ram Gupta Day here in Pittsburg, Kansas. This is Mayor Sigley making that proclamation here. But the capabilities that Ram brings to us, and we've been doing for the last 10 years, has really put us in a great position to work into this whole semiconductor electroactive materials arena. This is basically our strategy. Again, building the foundation for this in here. We talked about the fabrication facilities, fundamentals of semiconductor research and development, the training. All of this is going to go, and these will be the benefits that we're looking at, addressing everything from chips and batteries to fuel cells. All of this will fall under this National Center for Semiconductor Research and Testing. This is where we're planning to locate this. We right now have a $20 million proposal into NSF to build this facility. And I'll show you a little more about this. Most recently, we had Ponch, the director of NSF, here visiting with us with the Lieutenant Governor and Senator Moran as we're talking through our proposal of what we're doing in these areas on here. Specifically, this is the rough layout that we had, the concept layout of what we're putting in for the insert. Basically, we're looking at 2 different wavelength pulse lasers of sputtering capabilities, lithographic capabilities in here, and then testing facilities and this is all about collaborative engagement on here. So these testing facilities will be supporting industry across, and we will be collaborating with other universities and industries in the development of these areas. Already looking at one potential partner coming in with us on some of this. And so as we're looking at this moving forward, this is most recently at EMP Shield with the $1.9 billion announcement there from Governor Kelly, Lieutenant Governor David Tolan, and here with us at this presentation. Integra, it's recently also had similar announcements coming out, and then many of you are surely aware of the Panasonic program coming in near Kansas City. So these are all fitting very well together, and this is much of the reason that we see the whole Encountering Innovations as a critical piece of tying multiple pieces of these technologies together. Our goal, again, is bringing manufacturing into this area. And so we see this as a great opportunity to leverage what we've got, leverage the EI connections in here, and then start making those things happen, just like the EMP Shield, just like Integra, just like others that are likely on this call. So this is our focus area. This is NIMA. We're right here in Kansas, in the heartland of the U.S., Sunflower State. A big part of ours is workforce development on here. We're intending to be a semiconductor technology hub. We'll continue to focus on our core competencies throughout and expand those capabilities. So that's really what I've got, Alan, and I'd be happy to take any questions from anybody.
So for those of you that are on the call, if you've got a question, we'd like to be able to have Tim answer them for you.
Tim, this is Al Perez, Texas High Energy Materials. Can you hear me?
Yes. Al?
Tim, very near and dear to my heart, polyurethanes. I've a 33-year career in that area and did a lot with Detroit Mercy. They had a polymer institute focused on polyurethanes, and did some stuff with Virginia Tech in the past with McGrath and Wilkes. They had a great polyurethane program as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Will there be any interactions with those two universities? And Detroit Mercy comes to mind because they were heavily funded by automotive. You know, you had Ford, GM, and Chrysler right there in their backyard. Dr. Kurt Frisch, the late Dr. Frisch, you know, a lot of funding and great programs there for polyurethanes for automotive applications. Do you anticipate any sort of collaborations?
I would love, Al, I would love to get some collaboration in there, but to be perfectly honest, I don't have that connection right now. In there, Virginia Tech, we're very tight there and continuing to interact with that group. Yeah, I would love to build the connection there in the Detroit arena.
Okay, I was in the master's program there, finished it at Texas State, which now has a polymer program as well. It's about 10 years in the making. But Dr. Mark Benvenuto is still there, and I have a connection with him if you would like me to start seeing what his thoughts might be.
I would love the opportunity and appreciate the opportunity, Al. If you can help make that connection, I would love that.
Okay, I'll give him a phone call.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Jeff? Anyone else with some questions? So one I'm going to ask you, Tim, as we reach out or we hear from other businesses, are you going to be able to have the time to be able to meet with them like you were talking about, like Checker Sport? I think you were using them as your example.
Absolutely, yeah. I have to make time. How would I not have time to meet with them? For sure. Yeah, that's excited about any opportunities. Like I say, there's some, we are talking across the board from industries that are well established. And so looking at either going into new areas or simply they really don't maintain their R&D program that they had in the past. So we're trying to act as that surrogate there. But you know, an awful lot of our time is spent with startup businesses. So that's part of why I'm really excited about much of this effort.
So I know in our experience in the past with the Encountering Innovation program, it has been a pleasure to see a university hungry for outreach to small businesses. I know we've got people on the call here that, without calling them out, that have already met with you, and some that aren't on today that we've introduced you to that you've met with. So there's a lot of excitement from my perspective with me, Vicki, and Bill, or William Carey, as it shows there. We've worked with enough clients that it's fun to watch you guys be able to meet with them and work with them. That's exciting. I think that's part of why we're excited to be part of the program is watch this thing grow with the different people that are on board.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alan. And yeah, we're continuing to add talent. So as you know, I was in Europe this past week doing some recruiting there. So we're actually looking at some biochemists as well, bringing in as we're looking at some enzymatic approaches to things as far as polymerization and depolymerization. We're looking at a number of composites now to take us. So it's not just the simple polymer matrix, but actually looking at composite structures. And literally one of the presentations from one of the students I was watching this morning is using composite structures actually in the supercapacitor arena. And so it's not just a physical structure thing. There's other aspects of the composites that come into play as well. So we're excited for all kinds of ideas to come in, and you'll be surprised at the range of talent that we're bringing in here.
That's exciting. Anyone else? I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know if anyone's written anything.
I have a quick question, Tim. Just this morning, interesting, this meeting here, just this morning, I was on a phone call with a company that had been in contact with an organization, and they were asking me if I knew anybody that worked with foam technology for space applications. And that was a new one on me. Is that something that you are interested in, or I've never even heard of that. I don't think of foam in space.
So let me say, Bill, neither am I. As far as foam, particularly in space, am I interested in it? Obviously, anything in the aviation and aerospace industry, we're definitely interested in. And let me qualify my immediately previous statement in that every time I say we haven't done something like that, Zoran Petrovich is, oh yeah, we did that 10 years ago or whatever. So those are the kind of things when we get in for some of that, that expertise, those kind of things. I'd love to see what they're talking about exactly when they say foam for space applications. You know, what are the demands? What are they looking for? What are the material? What's the application literally of it? Not just say it's for space application. I'd love to know more about that. So if you find out anything, let me know.
Okay, but they're supposed to be sending me some stuff, and they're looking for companies that can work with that. So I'll try and get back with you later.
That'd be great. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's anyone else. I don't want to cut anybody off, but I am going to try to. I know Bijo from Texas is not on today, although some of his clients are. So that's exciting. But as I said, on the from a recording perspective, we were going to try to keep this as close to 30 minutes. Bijo was the one who's offered that up, and we're going to abide by that or shoot for that. We will, just to let you guys know, on here, we have some of our Center for Commercialization folks, University Strategy Initiative is on with Pittsburg State. So we've got several people that are part of the team. So as you, whether you're on here live or you're seeing this in the recording, as you reach out to us, they are part of the group that'll be working with us in July, as well as on into November. So I would say try us or try Pittsburg State, try NIMA. I think they're hungry for work as far as working with new small businesses, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the ones that we've introduced and seeing what's happening with them. So I challenge you to do that. We will be in outreach, a continual outreach, because we just started this with the email campaign that we just started about relocating, where you understand that we're part of Pittsburg State, and then understanding NIMA and their focus. If you have anything that you're not certain about, I would say ask it. That's part of what we're trying to do. I was telling some of the team the other day, part of what we do is ask, if just like what Bill asked with Tim, if you're not the person, or if this isn't where it is, where is it? Because part of what we do is looking in that supply chain or that research chain, who is it that may supply that or have that? That's part of the networking. And so I think we're excited about seeing the possibilities. We've not worked as Encountering Innovation as a team. We've not worked with a university that had a scientific background that was reaching out to us. This is a first, and it's very exciting. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch our clients, like we've already started, coming back to us now and partnering up with NIMA.
Yep.
Any other comments or statements before we close the recording then?
I have one.
Alan, I just want to say thanks to everybody. Thanks to you for pulling this together. Thanks to everybody and for spreading the word out here. If I don't think any of that has my contact information, but if you got any doubt, reach out to Alan. He can get contact information, get a hold of me. So love to talk with any of you or any of your clients.
Very good. What we'll do is, Tim, I'll try to see if we can get a PDF of your presentation and have that along with the recording to where we can pass this out, because this is just the beginning of the outreach. not the end of it. So for those of you that are on, we've talked to quite a few that weren't going to be here today that want to see this. So we're excited about the possibilities. We will be doing, we're working with Oklahoma, Texas, and Hawaii for a lunch and learn. The next one that's coming up is March the 28th. We will be sending information. I got that in just this week. So we'll be passing that out to everyone through Jessica for Oklahoma, Bijo in Texas, and then all other states with our Encountering Innovation. That's the beginning of a program where we're working with content providing and then trying to collaborate and introduce those of you on the mainland with companies in Hawaii. It's part of the Indo-Pacific push to accelerate technology and manufacturing collaboration in the Pacific to shore up competition and the things that we've seen in the past where there's been some weaknesses. So it's a great opportunity for you. So be watching for that March 28th, and that will become somewhat of a monthly lunch and learn or series where we'll be collaborating all together. So be watching for more of that information. July 24th and 25th is our exercise in this block and tackle event. So those of you that haven't been able to hear about that or watch, get more involved in that, reach out to me and we'll be glad to try to exercise you through that. Or if you just want to be here for the July 24th and 25th at that time. And it will be similar to a pitch program that you've seen in the past with Encountering Innovation. We will have more tech scouts. We're working on some commercial tech scouts, commercial DoD that aren't government employees. That should expand the possibilities. And we've got 2 in mind that we've already started working with and some others that we're reaching out to. So that's a different focus than the DoD only Encountering Innovation. And I think, Bill, you had a question or a comment?
I just was going to comment, and Tim, I hope I'm not overstepping my comment here, but for any of you that heard some of this and some of this piqued your interest, now is a really good time to get involved with NIMA because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of pieces that are moving, and if the technology that you're working on fits into that, this is a really good time to help establish that in this system. This is not like a university that says, okay, we're good at this and this and this, and oh, you don't fit. This is a very fluid organization that's very willing to try and accommodate and work together, and they're laying out programs as we speak. So this is a good time to get involved with
it. I appreciate that, Bill, and I will build one more, and that just reminded me along that is, it is really important that we see what the company needs are out there as you're coming along, because one of the things is you can't wait 4 years for us to get you a workforce out there. So we're looking at certificate programs that will be appropriate to fit the particular needs there that you're going to have out there. So the more we engaged early, the better we have a sense of what exactly those skills you need and what kind of certificates we need to put together. So thanks for that comment, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're close.
Can I real quick, Al? Just as a kind of a housekeeping or heads up, you all that we've worked with over the years have been accustomed to seeing emails come in from Alan and I at EIadmin or A Badgley at ksbdc.net. From this point forward, you'll be seeing emails from us coming through pittstate.edu. Just, with the changeover and everything, want to make sure you know to kind of watch for that instead of what you see from me all the time is EIadmin.
Thank you, Vicki. That's a good one. Yeah, we
same wonderful people, different address.
So what I really want to for the recording before we sign off, understand Encountering Innovation for what it's been in the past. and we are shifting gears and we're growing, and we're having national contact, some that we're not going to talk about today, but more things are happening. But we've got a university full of capabilities that's wanting to work with you, and that's different. And I'm not knocking any university in the past that's been a host, but their focus hasn't been what this is. And so we've got a new focus. And if it's not NIMA or if it's not PSU, Tim, I guarantee you will know some that will. So this is a great place to get started to the connectivity that Bill was talking about just now. So like I said, try it. If you got a question, reach out to us where we can start connecting you, whether it's NIMA or Pittsburg State or someone else. And a lot of things are happening. So we're excited to see you all.
Alan, this is Al Perez. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can I mention one more thing? We're, very deep into the SBIR program, 14 years, our small business. We do a lot of the STTRs with universities. The ITAR restrictions pose a huge problem for us working with universities. The fact of the matter is a lot of graduate students are not U.S. citizens and may in fact even they could be from countries that are we cannot involve them in our work. Is NIMA and Pittsburg State University doing anything to head that off at the pass, or has that been a talked about concern?
Thanks, Al. It definitely is talked about concern. Definitely, many of the things under the CHIPS Act, just straight up, we cannot use non-U.S. citizens on those. So now, at the same time, I've got a ton of students from all over the world in here. Those students will not be able to be supported by things from the CHIPS Act. And some of the companies, we've been doing work for Honeywell's, as far as the defense aspects of that for, several years. So we are used to working in that environment. We have to maintain this wall. Everyone who works in here is under confidentiality, but definitely some of these we have to peel off. So to answer your question on there, the other thing is all of these international students that we have in here, they are not going to solve the problem of workforce development right here in mid-America. So we are putting a huge focus on recruiting from the region here. Right now, literally, I'm hiring high school chemistry and physics instructors to come in and actually do research here during the summer. So they spend their summer internships here, and those become our best recruiters going back out. So we're putting a huge focus in the high school and the community college within the region to build that, to address exactly that problem. Because yes, we're getting students from all over the globe, but A, we can't use them on a number of programs, and B, they really will not solve our workforce development for the area. So we are very sensitive to that. I can't just say, oh, we got it, no worries, but it is a focus for us.
Okay, if I might add and mention, we've done quite a bit with Wichita State University, and Encountering Innovation Kansas actually connected us years ago. It's been a great relationship. One of the ways that it works well for Wichita State and our company when we do STTRs is for them to use undergraduate students. We are perfectly happy to accept an undergraduate student. As you know, the STTR 30% has to go to a university, and we actually get very good work and results out of undergraduates.
And thanks for bringing that up, Al. And we use undergraduates. I've got probably 15 right out here in the building right now, actually working on our research projects. So agree 100%, and we're very much down that road.
Okay, and you're there at Pittsburg State University?
We are, yes, we are right here in Pittsburg, Kansas, so right on campus.
When I first started, I did work with Dr. Jody Neef at Texas State, who's now at Pittsburg State University, I believe.
Yes, Jody's in the chemistry program here. He actually, now I started to say I saw him, he was in the building, I think Monday maybe. He wasn't today, but he was in the building. So Jody's definitely around, ornery as ever. So.
Okay, very good. Tell them I said hello.
Al, thank you. That was a great question, and I'm glad we caught that on the recording, because that's you're exactly right. We are working hard to try to grow the SBIR STTR program at Pitt State. So that was a very good question. Thank you. Well, folks, I know we're definitely long on the 30 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it up. I do appreciate those that were here from the part of our support group with Pittsburg. So thank you, folks, for being there too. Very much so. Like I said, remember Encountering Innovation of what it's been, and understand that there's a whole new capability involved that we're working with. So once again, reach out to us. Try to be looking for these seminars, these lunch and learns, as we've called them in the past. This next one that we're collaborating with Hawaii is March 28th. After that, we'll be we've got 2 really good topics coming up, and once we get those lined up, the next one will be April, and that's going to be a very strong one too. So both of these that are here on the horizon are good topics. So look for the email and then get registered for them. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Tim, so much for being able to present to us today.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Alan.
See
Thanks,
you all.
guys.
Thank
You guys take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.